Yeah. So when it comes to, racism
Mhm.
and those things that are happening, especially systemic racism or discrimination, there's no end point. It's always
Mm.
something that's always occurring.
Right.
And and the same goes for this course, for our situation, being a part of the Fairway Five or the Grandview Five. I've heard it called both in the press.
Mhm.
But we felt that it was important to stand up for ourselves in that situation. We were members of that golf course. And what was new was not us playing at that course because we had played there several times. I mean, many, many times over the course of the years that we've been playing together.
Mhm.
What changed was the ownership, which we
Mm.
didn't realize that they had gotten new owners.
Mhm.
So the owners weren't familiar with us.
Mhm.
So, but
But
in any
it's
case, yeah, I think they were trying to set a tone.
right,
Hmm.
right. Now,
Yeah.
like being that you had this you had like this horrific like incident that happened that really just really exposes the biases that are within the sport. Like, how do you feel as far as the LPGA having or considering to have a black commissioner?
Well, I think it's important. I'm not sure of the history if they've ever had one. I'm assuming that they
Mm.
have not.
Mhm.
But I think it's really important that as this sport moves along, that there is representation, particularly of a group of people that has, been in this country and is represented around the world. Because I know the LPGA not only, is in this country, but they're internationally.
Mhm.
But they're persons of color, Black people all over the world, and we've consistently been a part of this sport really for as long as for as
Yeah.
long as they've been
The
around
team.
for the most part.
Right. Right.
Exactly. And when asked about this, I said it's so important to have that level of perspective on the commission, especially if they've never had anyone there. You'd be surprised what's not considered or taken into consideration. We don't have that level of diversity on the board. I mean, I sit in meetings all the time, when there's not Black people there, and I'm saying Black people, and I have to,
Mhm.
all of a
Right.
sudden be the voice of Black people because people just simply do not consider, what you're actually missing out of because of the fact you don't have anyone there. So I'm going to give you an example.
Mhm.
One of the things that when Debert asked me about why I thought it was important, I said there were two things I said would be important for a commissioner.
Mhm.
The first thing I would think a Black commissioner would be important, but the second thing is a Black commissioner who's an owner. So
Mm.
if you're looking to get someone who owns a golf course.
Mhm.
So I know that across the country that these courses that are trying to maintain a certain status or maintain a certain exclusiveness, they're
Mhm.
losing money hands over fist.
Mhm.
Well, we know that Black women have been in this sport and continuously are increasingly being a part of this sport because professionally it's important for them to learn it. There's many clubs around the country that are supporting this sport. And so what's happening is that this sport is here, and not only does it support women in a way that it needs to be supported, but really the rise of professional Black women and them
Mm.
playing the sport needs
Mhm.
to be recognized, especially at the level of the commission. And I feel that with an owner there, they will have an opportunity to give a perspective, especially a Black woman owner, give a perspective from not just the golfing aspect of it, but all the protocols and all the other things that are attached with golfing.
Operations. Right.
Yeah. So we know golfing is like 20% of it, but it's the preparation, it's the camaraderie, it's
Mhm.
equipment that you're purchasing.
Hmm.
The pro shop. It's like every woman that goes to golf, the first thing they want to do is peruse a pro shop. I'm like, anytime I go to a tournament, it's like, well, I'm going to
Yeah,
the
to
pro
get his
shop.
right,
Yeah,
get a
so they're missing
souvenir.
exactly. You're
Hmm.
getting souvenirs, or you may get a hat, or you may get something fashionable. And black women, we golf, we have swag now.
Right,
We
right,
like to, and we shop. So our golf,
right,
our golf gear is, is is pretty well up there.
right.
So, so having a commissioner that's a woman and an owner, she could share from that perspective what it is. But the
Hmm.
second part is because women that golf, especially black women that golf, that we're typically in other organizations as well. And
Hmm.
so, we can contribute to the social aspect of it. We can contribute to the other areas, of golf as it relates to events and courses, banquet halls and things along those lines. So, a black woman commissioner or a commissioner who's an owner
Hmm.
that's African American can bring and share a whole different perspective, not only for the game of golf, but really, bringing into the fold, African Americans to engage in this sport, but also
Hmm.
on the other ends too, in the tournaments where they make a significant amount of money, souvenirs or tchotchkes, whatever you're getting, or clothing or
Hmm.
anything. Yeah, so I think it's just really important.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
So,
also even, how they're even designed, how they're set up, even how you walk around the golf course during a tournament.
right, right, right.
Hmm.
So, how influential have Black women been historically in the sport of golf? So, can you name like just some of your just like role models or like idols
Well,
in terms of,
you know what? I will tell you, I have one that I can name just
Mhm.
right off the bat, and I only want to focus on the one because she has been such an amazing role, a tremendous role model, and that is
Mhm.
Renee Powell.
Mhm.
And Renee Powell, she owns the golf course in Ohio,
Mhm.
Clearview.
Right.
So she has been amazing. And she was also one of the first African American women to play in the PGA. And
Hmm.
so we actually met her prior to the Grandview incident. And so
Hmm.
she's just been super amazing and such a role model. And
Hmm.
when the Grandview or Fairway 5 incident occurred, um, she was the first to step out and reach out to us.
Wow.
Yeah, and listen to our story and make
Hmm.
herself available to us, all five of us.
Hmm.
We all have our number on speed dial. And
Hmm.
so, she reached out to us. We were contacting her back and forth. She reached out to us individually, and then she reached out to us collectively. And
Hmm.
she also was working with the PGA, with the vice president, who then became the president of the PGA. And, we worked with the president also for her
Hmm.
to, actually, in her term, she actually denounced the incident and supported us.
Right.
So, we attribute all of that to Renee Powell, but she's so
Hmm.
giving and she is so supportive of Black women in golf.
Hmm.
And again, she understands what it's like to have that level of discrimination against you. She doesn't talk about it openly. You hear about it in some of the historical things that she's gone through, but she's overcome a lot of challenges, to be able to play professional golf. And even, as the owner of a golf course, she's just overcoming amazing challenges every day, but yet and still she has this level of humility and love for the sport that she can still share, with just simple novices like us.
Hmm.
We're a group of women that play golf in central Pennsylvania. We're
Uh,
not playing professional or anything,
uh,
but we're having a good time and we're avid golfers and we love the sport. We
right.
love the sport. And to have that level of support from her has meant the world to us.
Mm.
It really has been. So I say not only is she a phenomenal professional in the game of golf, and she will go down and has been historically noted to have this level of professionalism and be attached to the sport. You know, there's not you're not going to be able to mention this sport without her name. But you know, equally, she is a wonderful person and a great role model.
Wow.
Yes, awesome. I would love to see her do. She would fit both bills. She
Right.
would, yeah, she'd be the owner, and you
And
know, and a black woman,
representation. Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what impact can you assess that a Black woman can have on the sport currently and in the LPGA? I know you just spoke about Renee Powell, but like, can you give like just further insight in terms of the ability that Black women have, and just being able to offer different perspectives of outside of what's been quote unquote traditional.
Well, you know, again, you know, there are so many young women that I know that are entering into the sport, and young
Hmm.
men and women, young African American men and women,
Hmm.
many that we know really in this area and beyond that
Hmm.
are entering in this sport. And of course, it's definitely more diverse than it was. You know, when you look at the LPGA, you'll see a whole level of diversity. Um, and inclusiveness that you would not have seen 20, 30 years ago. But you know, in terms of Black women in the sport, because we're talking about Black women,
Hmm.
I think it's important to, definitely they should have a seat at the table, and
Hmm.
it should be a level representation where we're all, able to discuss some of the things that's important to us. And I
Hmm.
had mentioned some of the things that seems kind of crazy, but let me just tell you what golf, means to us. So,
Okay.
it's a wonderful sport. We love the sport and
Hmm.
perfecting the game. It's all about perfecting the game and the protocols and the discipline that it takes to be a part of it. And gathering together as a group is important. It's also a wonderful way for us to network and
Hmm.
to fellowship with each other.
Right.
Most of us are African American professionals, and oftentimes when we're African American professionals, we don't live in Atlanta or any place else. There's very rarely
Mm.
opportunities for us to meet with other
Right.
professional women and even share, stories about what's going on in the workplace, or even strategize or even cultivate solutions that can help us move forward. So many corporations have committed to having social and racial justice workshops, committed to efforts uh, with their corporate social responsibility policy to either work with organizations or work with communities to ensure that they are a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And I
Mm.
would think that the LPGA would follow that way as well. I
Mhm.
work for a quasi um, a Commonwealth of Pennsylvania state agency,
Mhm.
and we're doing the same thing as well. So I know if the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, under our governor there, is saying that he wants every single agency to work on eradicating systemic discrimination and racism. It puts a challenge on each of the agencies, which it put one on mine. I'm heading up an effort now on the task force on racial and social justice to try to, you know, um, make sure that we're doing everything we can to, you
Mhm.
know, to look at normalized practices and see if they're
Mhm.
excluding people, which typically they are. So I would think that this is a charge right now for the LPGA to take that stand also
Mhm.
and to join the ranks of all these corporations around the world that are saying, looking, systemic discrimination and racism is wrong, and we want to be a part of the solution. And also, I think that if diversity is not at the table, especially with Black people, and eliminating Black people in an aspect hurts business. It hurts
Mhm.
business,
Mhm.
and many fear that if we change the sport, it will alienate, you know, some people from the sport. But I don't believe that to be true. And if you have a sport that's so exclusive that only white guys come out there because they only want to be with other white guys, then you probably need to rethink that. That's why a lot of these courses are closing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, these courses are closed. And when you bring diversity to the table, you bring a whole other level of profitability to the table. Because I will, if you look at even, where we live, like I live in central Pennsylvania, just to give you an example. And I live in York County. We are maybe the town I live in, the town that I was mayor of, less than 1% African American.
Wow.
Less than 1%. You couldn't even see that, right? 15,000 people. But York County has, I believe, less than 5% African American population. Maybe 5% Latino, 3 to 5%. So it's a very small margin of people. But York County, so a lot of people move into York County as a commuter to Baltimore City. So the minute you cross the line into Baltimore, where it's more diversity and more things, it's like, the whole world opens up. Yeah. So when diversity is not at the table, you're protecting some status that, really has long been gone. It's never been an all white world. It's never been. Even in this country, it's never been an all white country because we were always here.
Right.
Black folks, that is.
And even before white people, they were indigenous.
The Native Americans.
Yeah. That's true.
So so we've always been here. So it's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But no, yes, absolutely. You put a Black commissioner on the court, you put someone who's effective, who has a real voice. And without knowing it, they will bring a perspective that, why haven't you all looked at that? I mean, they will say, we need to look at this.
Right. And it's definitely,
You'd be surprised.
Like you stated, an untapped market.
It's an untapped market. Yeah. And we're out here. We're all golfing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're doing it. We're spending money. How many studies been done to see? I want to know, what kind of economic studies have y'all done? Have they done a culture or a climate survey to see, what percentage of dollars, how much is our African American women spending playing golf or going to, or this, that, and the other? Obviously, we're not the majority, but looking at us as a group. Looking at us as a group, to see, and they probably have never even thought about doing anything along those lines. Or probably don't even have a metric in place to even do it. Yeah.
And that's definitely something that, a Black LPGA, Black woman as an LPGA, commissioner can offer insight into.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I know a few years ago, and LPGA doesn't do this. I think the PGA does this, but they had a series of lessons that they gave at these really nice golf courses in Baltimore. It was the Baltimore County Golfer Association, but it was in tandem with the PGA. And you would pay like $20 to take the course. So it was a great way to introduce diverse groups to the game of golf, and I was living in Baltimore, so I was able to partake into some of those events as well. So
so that's actually how you started.
Something like that. Well, I had started before then, but it really got me started really good, at that particular point there, I became more serious about it. Because I would do that with friends, and then I would meet new people.
which
Yeah.
would
So
also help.
there's lots of women that are doing that, and you just be surprised when it comes to that camaraderie and everything. And there's lots of Baltimore. And I'm sure New York as well. There's probably huge leagues that you all have in that area. I've played in New York a couple of times,
Hmm.
and yeah, there's some huge leagues. It's an untapped market. And say the LPGA has a new commissioner. She's an owner.
Girl trip
Yeah.
to her course
Oh
too.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
be